Good morning, everyone. My story begins in 1989 when I was 9, when my dad started experiencing symptoms of headaches and vomiting. Followed shortly was the protrusion of his right eye, and upon seeking medical attention, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor. I remember being devastated by the news and crying with my friends at school with thoughts that my dad was going to die. His decision to delay the tumor resection resulted in the deterioration of his vision. He had surgery eventually to resect the tumor, and the pathology revealed a benign meningioma. I remember visiting him at the hospital with his head all bandaged up, huge bandage, so worried about his health and so relieved that the surgery went well and was on the path to recovery. Our lives, though, were never the same. The vibrant and lively dad that once took us everywhere to do all sorts of fun activities was grieving, struggling with his depression and anxiety, and became withdrawn and sometimes quiet and angry as he struggled with his diagnosis. 7 years later, an MRI revealed the tumor had come back, this time damaging the optic nerve, resulting in the complete loss of vision to his eye. His second brain surgery to resect the tumor followed. Recovery was quicker this time, but being blind in one eye was a big adjustment, and my dad struggled with anxiety and depression intensified. 4 years later, the tumor reoccurred again. Whole brain radiation followed to try to shrink the tumor, but when that didn't work, surgery followed. I remember during a visit to the hospital, my dad sharing with us that had there not been bars on the window, he would have taken his life. I felt so horrible for his loss and suffering. But after the second and the third resection surgery, I distinctly remembered being impressed by the medical advances in surgical procedures, as his head bandage got smaller and recovery time faster. This built my confidence and trust in the medical system and in God. 3 brain surgeries and the constant fear about death and dying had worn him down. He struggled with his grief, faith, and questioned God, why me? Growing up with a spiritual and religious background helped me to cope with my emotions, thoughts, and changes in our lives. The question I've always focused on and encouraged him to reflect on is rather, why not me? Because I believe that everything happens for a reason. Even in suffering and in death, there's something to be learned and gained, if not by the person suffering, but by the others around and impacted. I prayed my parents would survive to old age and see me get married and be grandparents. Fast forward to 2013, 24 years since his initial diagnosis, 13 years after his last brain surgery, my parents walked me down the aisle in my dream wedding. I was so happy to have them both at my side. I felt so happy and grateful to have this opportunity and to see my dad so healthy physically and mentally, my mom so beautiful, healthy, and as strong as ever. A few months later, however, Halloween morning, I woke up with a sudden, severe, localized headache on the right side of my head, with a bout of nausea and vomiting. We quickly rushed to the ER. And during my first visit to the ER, I mentioned my dad's brain tumor to the doctor, but was quickly told it's not hereditary and was misdiagnosed with the flu. I knew this wasn't the flu. The following day, I continued to experience intense localized headaches, and I went into a walk-in clinic and was suspected to have migraines and was sent home with a prescription and advised to go back to the ER if my symptoms persist. After trying the medication for a day or so with no relief, my husband and I decided to go back to the ER. I couldn't tolerate the headaches, and I knew something was wrong. During the second visit to the ER, my first scan revealed something. When they ordered a second CT, this time with contrast, I knew they had found something. The doctor told me I had a lesion in my right temporal lobe, a tumor in the exact location of my dad's, and the fears that I would inherit a brain tumor came true. Was this a trick? A bad dream? Shocked, scared, angry, and in disbelief, I was admitted to the hospital for further investigation. Unlike my dad's brain tumor, the neurosurgeon suspected it was a malignant tumor, brain cancer. The neurosurgeon showed me my scan and explained how, if the tumor, if benign, would have clear borders with the surrounding tissue. My tumor looked like it was infiltrating the surrounding brain tissue. The picture there is with my dogs. They were actually permitted to join me in VGH hospital prior to my surgery. Wonderful pet therapy. After a series of x-rays to determine that no other organs in my body were impacted, that my tumor was the primary tumor, he presented two options to me. Do a keyhole surgery, take a biopsy, and send the sample for pathology. Wait 2 weeks for the results, and if suspicions were correct that it was cancer, they would schedule a gross total resection. The other option was to bypass the biopsy surgery and schedule a gross total resection right away. My husband and I, devastated by the news, had to come to terms with the choices and make a decision quickly. I reflected on the situation and what I had learned from my dad's experience. He chose to delay his surgery, and it costed him his eyesight in his right eye. But this loss became instrumental to the decision we had to make. He had survived 3 brain surgeries, recovered well, and was doing great. I was experiencing no loss of function or symptoms prior to the sudden onset of symptoms, and I wanted to keep it that way. I thought, why delay the inevitable? The tumor needs to come out. It's causing too much pressure in my brain, making me feel these intense headaches. If I delay, who knows what loss of functioning I may have. We also thought, well, if the neurosurgeon suspects it's cancer, and he's dealt with many cases in his years of practice, we trusted his opinion and experience. We quickly decided to go for the total gross resection, and within a week of feeling symptoms and being admitted to the hospital, I had brain surgery. It's me after recovery, my husband by my side. I remember waking up in the intensive care unit, disoriented and immobilized by all the medical equipment, and thinking, oh, yay, I had survived. When they removed my bandage a couple of days later, I saw my hair was intact, and you know women in their hair. I said, yay, my hair is still there. I was amazed that they were able to do this surgery and not shave my head like I had seen with my dad. The days that followed went well. I was recovering well, and I felt great. Two weeks after my surgery, I received a call from my neurosurgeon and was officially given the diagnosis of a grade 3 oligoastrocytoma, a malignant brain tumor, and the prognosis wasn't good. In only a few short days, my world came crashing down on us, and my life was flipped upside down. Spinning out of control, I spent the day crippled by sadness, crying with my husband and family. Later that day, during a drive home and a break at the mall, shop therapy, sitting in the back seat of the car, I reflected on my sadness and my prognosis in silence. with tears streaming down my face. I decided then and there not to be sad anymore. I felt like being sad was no way to live the rest of my life, and it didn't serve me. I thought to myself, whether I have days, months, years to live, I didn't want to spend my time left in this world being sad and negative about my circumstance. I quickly committed myself to learning and focusing on the things I can control. My religious beliefs helped me to accept my diagnosis and reflect on my belief that everything in life happens for a reason. That it may not make sense and it may seem unfair, but it's all part of God's master plan. And I was not afraid, and I was receptive and optimistic. Concurrent radiation and chemotherapy followed, and I was so happy I didn't lose all my hair. In addition to conventional cancer treatment, I turned to evidence-based practices known to support my health and healing, such as nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management. To learn more about brain tumors, I read through the Brain Tumours Foundation of Canada's Brain Tumour Patient Handbook from front to back. I researched information on the internet, scoured the internet. To learn more about integrated cancer care strategies and obtain more support, I joined Inspire Health and participated in their comprehensive supportive cancer care program, which featured a variety of classes like cooking, music, exercise, various support groups, and consultations with a variety of health and alternative health practitioners. I also participated in a variety of activities at BC Cancer. I tried art therapy for the first time, stress management classes, counseling, and joined the brain tumor support group. I committed myself to do whatever I could do to position myself on the tail end of the survival curve, to be in the best state physically and mentally and emotionally to support my body to heal and thrive. After treatment, I had the opportunity to do neuropsychological testing at GF Strong to assess my IQ and attention, memory, motor functioning, and executive functioning, with the aim of establishing a baseline if my tumor ever reoccurred, a diagnosis, a rehabilitation plan, and specific guidelines with regards to return to work. The testing findings confirmed my IQ and brain functioning was above normal, another yay. But it also confirmed, though, that my short-term memory was slightly impaired, a common result of brain cancer treatment. What this meant was that my ability to process and remember information was impacted, and I needed certain accommodations to overcome this issue. For example, when reading or learning, I needed to minimize distraction and allocate more time to process information and consolidate it to memory. Armed with this feedback and a special accommodations of more time for test taking, I had the confidence, desire, and ability to go back to school to learn more about holistic nutrition, to help rehabilitate my brain, distract myself from my diagnosis and prognosis, and learn more about nutrition to better support my healing journey. As a result of my studies, I improved my diet, I limited food intolerances, I started gardening, sprouting, making fermented foods and beverages. I addressed digestive issues and limited exposures to toxins through organic foods and natural and beauty cleaning products. A year later, I wrote the board exam and successfully became a registered holistic nutritionist. I was feeling so good that I wanted to help not only myself, but others through their healing journey. I started looking for ways to give back to the community. I started nutrition consulting and counseling. I started volunteering for the Brain Tumour Foundation's Brainwave program, which provides pediatric brain tumor patients and their families the opportunity to connect with other families with similar issues to obtain much needed support. I also started volunteering on the Patient and Family Council at the BC Cancer to help advance patient care, and have taught health and healing through nutrition to brain tumor survivors. I went back to my full-time job as a provincial manager of health and wellness, and my follow-up scans after treatment showed no new growth and stability in my tumor. My tumor, or the resected area in the brain picture on the left, looks like, my coworker pointed out, a happy face, a happy brain. Kind of like a jack-o'-lantern, but a smiling one. So we were feeling so good, and my tumor stability was great, so we decided to start a family. And there's the ultrasound pictures of my two daughters. I love the first one and the second one. First one in particular, because it looks like she's saying hi to me. There's our family, including the two dogs, Mochi and Cookie, that were my pet therapy over the years, and Kayla and Leah, and my husband, Joseph. I've continued to challenge myself by pushing the limits, being open to trying new things, studying and completing another successful board exam, and obtaining my project management professional certification. And I continue to work full-time in population public health, now with the CDC. It's now 2018, almost 5 years since being diagnosed with brain cancer and completing my treatment. This journey has been a transformational opportunity for me, a sweet treat disguised as a brain tumor. My unexpected guest that reared its ugly head on Halloween years ago has given me the opportunity to live my life with more gratitude, ease, sense of adventure, prioritize the things that I enjoy and love, and learn to do more of what I can do to keep my mind, body healthy and in balance. I continue to give back to the brain tumor community by volunteering anywhere and any way I can, because I enjoy helping others, and volunteering helps to energize me by bringing greater purpose to my life. I also continue to pray, but now I pray that I will live to old age with my wonderful husband by my side, and that I'll be able to see my children grow up, get married, and have my grandchildren. It's been almost 30 years that I've been impacted by brain tumors, first with my dad's diagnosis and then mine. Over the years, I've witnessed many changes in the healthcare system and have met so many wonderful people impacted by brain tumors. With this experience and knowledge, I'd like to share a few words, my observation and advice to healthcare practitioners and teams within the healthcare system. First off, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for all the great work that you do. Thank you for advancing the brain tumor research, detection, diagnosis, and treatment landscape. I'm very optimistic that your work will continue to extend the survival rates and quality of life of brain tumor patients and ultimately find a cure. The second item I'd like to share with this group is that in all the years being impacted by brain tumors, I have met many brain tumor patients, locally and internationally, that have had a first or second degree relative with also a brain tumor, some with the exact type and location. My uncle on my maternal side also recently was diagnosed with brain tumor. These are not coincidences. There is a greater hereditary genetic link, and the thoughts and beliefs held in the clinical community, not by all, but by some, that there's no or small association between family history and the development of brain tumors falls short of reality. perhaps due to the lack of research funding or healthcare system issues that fail to capture these metrics and analyze this valuable information. And yet knowing more about the genetic link can improve targeted therapies, treatment, and preventative strategies for those with a family history of brain tumors. An international consortium of researchers led by the Bayer College of Medicine supports my observations, and a few years ago identified for the first time, a gene associated with familial gliomas, brain tumors that appear in 2 or more members of the same family, providing new support that certain people may be genetically predisposed to the disease. So I urge you all to continue to advance the brain tumor research, detection, and diagnosis and treatment landscape, but do it more with the lens on the genetic factors that could come into play. To survivors and caregivers, stay positive and hopeful. I have witnessed and experienced many medical advances over the years, and I'm hopeful that cancer will one day become more like a chronic disease, where patients are impacted but recover, thrive, and manage their symptoms and illness with the help of modern medicine. Remember to prioritize self-care, take an active role in managing your health, and don't underestimate your role in your well-being and healing journey. Do what you can so that every night when your head hits the pillow, you can feel proud of your accomplishments. In closing, I'd like to encourage you all to focus on your health and the pillars of health. Eat smart, hydrate often, not on wine, water, move daily, sleep deeply, think positively, breathe deeply, and relax often. Small choices and changes in each of these areas can lead to big changes and set yourself up for success, better health, healing, and well-being. Hippocrates is famously quoted for saying, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." We know the benefits of modern medicine. Science confirms modern medications and treatments are essential and extremely effective. And yet we also know that our bodies have an amazing ability to heal that we're still learning about. And intuitively we know we should embrace what exists in nature. The food we eat gives our bodies the materials, the building blocks it needs to function properly. If we don't get the right nutrients or the right amounts, our metabolic processes may suffer and imbalances may occur. Our health may be impacted, and we could become overweight or undernourished or at risk for developing diseases or illnesses. When it comes to food, choose natural foods, foods that are as close to how they're found in nature. And as a general rule, choose to shop and eat what exists on the periphery of the grocery store. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, meats, legumes. Choose nature-made versus man-made to minimize the consumption of processed foods, which are engineered for overconsumption, that contain high amounts of refined carbohydrates, artificial ingredients like preservatives, colorants, flavorants, texturants, and they're really all designed just to maximize their profits and shelf life by developing food products really that are low in nutrients and life-giving properties. My health and fitness was admired and praised before and after my diagnosis. I know my health practices contributed tremendously to my speedy recovery. My hope is to continue to amaze people during my healing journey and to inspire others to take control of their health and healing. Even though I have been diagnosed with brain cancer, I am happy, feel healthy, I'm strong, I stay positive, and I'm loving life. I hope you all have enjoyed my story and feel encouraged to live your life with more balance, gratitude, and ease. Thank you for listening and for the opportunity to share my story with you all today.